Welcome to the Reclaim Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Season Hathaway. I am an NASM certified personal trainer with a specialization in prenatal and postpartum bodies. I'm here to empower you to find movement and exercise that is realistic, doable, and most importantly, meaningful to you as a mother, a caregiver, and a birthing body. I'm here to challenge how our bodies are talked about in the fitness industry. No more blind acceptance of weight loss and no more guilt and shame. Let's advocate for ourselves and reshape the fitness industry together. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. This month in Misfit Moms and on the podcast today, we're going to be talking about consistency, more specifically, finding consistency in your movement routine. And I know that's quite the coincidence considering how inconsistent I am with my content creation and with the creation of this podcast. And so I'm coming to you today as a fellow mother, as a fellow caregiver, knowing and facing very much in real time the reality of caregiving, which is that there's a lot of chaos going on around us. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of changes on a monthly, weekly, even daily basis sometimes. And so I am very aware of the difficulties that we face when it comes to trying to find a habit that is sustainable and long-term and makes sense for us right now when, let's just say it, that our lives are just chaos right now between sicknesses, between changes in daily routines, between sleep deprivation and shifts in sleep patterns of our little ones, the holidays, other big family events, all of these things really put a damper on our ability to create regular routines. And I think for a lot of us, especially around fitness, especially around movement, we have a lot of preconceived notions and a lot of stuff around thinking about fitness as something, a fitness routine that as something that has to be extremely rigid, and it has to look a very specific way. Okay. We do have a lot of examples of what a very rigid fitness routine looks like, right? Whether it be things we see on television, things we see in the movies, maybe even fitness programs that we've done before, they not only encourage us to create routines that are very rigid and, whether it be you're exercising at very specific times of the day, every single day, or multiple times a week, but also a lot of things are of showing you an example of working out in very specific clothing, in a very specific space, right? So we get a lot of messaging around what fitness should look like. And many times that image is not very realistic for where we are at right now in our life, when there are days I never get out of my pajamas, or there are days I don't get to do my hair, I don't get to put it up in a bun, I don't, or it's a very messy bun and it's falling down, or I don't get to brush my teeth, or I haven't gotten sleep for the last week or 2 or 3 or 4, and I am very tired and I'm not able to keep up a higher impact movement routine. And I feel, and a lot of times that can lead to me feeling feelings of shame and failure because I'm not able to physically keep up with what I am supposed to, air quotes, be able to do during that fitness routine. Sorry, I got my little one with me today, as you know. And so, anyway, I think, so we get a lot of this messaging around us in that it should, fitness should look this certain way. And we don't get a lot of examples of what it can actually realistically look like and how we can realistically find consistency in the midst of of the chaos of our lives. And so I'm here today to kind of talk through a couple of things and trying to keep it short because I know your time is precious. Um, how do we do that? How do we find, what are some ways we can kind of wrap our minds around finding consistent movement and exercise, even though, that's just a very hard thing for us to find right now. So let's start first with finding things that you do every day, even when it's even when it's ugly, even when the day itself is difficult to has been a difficult day, right? So for many of us, even though we are, kind of like I am right now, there are certain things we get done in our day, even in the midst of chaos. So maybe for you, it's brushing your hair, or maybe for you, it's brushing your teeth or making meals. These are things that we are able to do and to find time for, even when we haven't gotten sleep. Even when we haven't gotten sleep, even when, the kids are, running amok around us, we're still, whether it be through survival, pure survival, or just through habits that we form that are so strong that, somehow we manage to get them done, even in the midst of being completely overwhelmed. Okay, so what you can do is what there are lots of sources that kind of call this piggybacking, right? So or stacking habits. So you're finding things that you're doing daily. You're looking back through your day, through your routine, and you're saying, you know what, every day, even when I'm like still in my pajamas, even when I'm still struggling to get dressed or find those things, I'm still I still have to make dinner every night. Otherwise, it doesn't get made. And so every night, even though I'm struggling, I still find myself in the kitchen making dinner. And those are the moments where you can find, you can kind of match a small movement routine to those habits. Okay, so let's say I've had clients that are like, okay, every day I make dinner, or every day I give the baby a bath, right? That's something, you may not be prioritizing yourself. You guys, I'm having a moment with my kiddo right now. He knows I'm recording and he's doing everything in his power to distract me. Um, so I'm so sorry. I'm going to take a breath. Okay. I have clients that will say, even in the midst of chaos, even in the midst of a horrible day, I will give my baby a bath because that's part of their bath routine. And more often than not, you prioritize them over your own well-being, right? I mean, that's just kind of something a lot of us do. And maybe we're working to get better at it, but a lot of times we have habits that are related to our kids that we do every day, even if we're not doing the things we need to do for ourselves. And so what I tell them is, all right, we know that you give the baby a bath every day. So you're likely then sitting in the bathroom with them while you're there, right there with them, washing them. What I want you to do during that time is do 5 breaths, 5 connection breaths. We have these very specific breathing exercises we do in my Misfit Moms program. And these breathing exercises, while just breathing is very beneficial, and you don't have to do a specific breathing exercise, these particular exercises help you to reconnect to your pelvic floor. They help relax your nervous system. Many, many benefits. But just doing a couple of those in those moments when you just, you know that you're going to be there, not concentrating on much else other than sitting there with the baby, maybe washing them a little, and you're able to do those breaths. And then you start to create a habit around doing a very small thing for yourself in the midst of doing something for your kids. Okay. So while it's not, maybe while it's still kind of a step on the way toward creating, prioritizing yourself and creating a movement practice for yourself, for now, it's a small step. Uh, in the direction of just trying to give yourself the little bit of help and assistance that you need. Let's not do that because it's hot and we don't want to knock it over. Okay? I'm telling you, you guys, I know how you feel. I know how you feel. I am trying to do this in the midst of a very grumpy toddler trying to distract me. Okay, I swear he was in a great mood when we started. Um, all right, so matching habits with things you're already doing, sometimes things that you're already doing for someone else, right? And you create a habit that helps you to uh, give yourself a little bit of self-care in the midst of caring for others, right? That is a very small one, but it's a step in the right direction. All right. And I want you in those moments, you need to keep it small, right? Very small. So those moments when you are bathing someone, when you are cooking dinner, keep it extremely small. Breath work, do 5 breaths, and that's it. Don't go any further than that. And then eventually you'll be able to build on it. Okay. Then, uh, also, okay, hold on. I'm not ready to move on yet. Well, you could also, the one thing that in terms of picking things to do during those moments, it could be breath work, but what I would suggest is finding movements that give you that immediate win. Okay, so give you that immediate feel good feeling and that immediate thing of the immediate feeling of uh oh my gosh, you guys, I cannot focus right now with him the way he is. Take another breath, mommy, right? All right, so you start with breath work. You start with taking a couple breaths, or you start with finding small movements that are extremely effective for you. So find those little movements that you know every time help you feel good. So in those moments when, maybe you're caring for someone else, you're doing a small breath exercise, you're doing something you're able to do at the same time as that caregiving activity, or you're finding an exercise that gives you that immediate win. So really focusing on those things that give you that immediate rush of joy, and maybe even not that intense, but like I have some stretches that I know every time I do them, it releases some of the tension in my chest. It helps me to take that big breath that I haven't taken all day, and that is the exercise I save for those days um, when I know I'm not going to be able to do anything else. Okay. If you find that you are in a stage where you're not even doing those small things that you typically do, or those caregiving activities that you typically find yourself doing every day, if you find you're in a stage where you're like, I don't even have the bandwidth to do those things, then you are in a sort of survival mode, period. And your priority is getting back to those small things, not creating new, huge fitness goals, okay? Or creating new fitness habits. Those are the periods of time in which you need to get back to those small habits that you were doing previously, especially ones around your basic needs. So that means drinking water, getting food in your body, however you need to do that, getting some sleep, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, personal hygiene things. Those are the things that you need to return to, not creating a brand new movement practice, okay? That new movement practice will come, but you need to get back to taking care of your basic needs first, all right? And if, we talk about this a lot in Misfit Moms, and actually in my 12-week postpartum program, we have a whole workshop on understanding when you need to be focusing on basic needs and when you actually can take that step into starting a new movement practice and which movement practice you should actually be starting. All of, those are things that are important to know because I think there's this assumption that we should always be doing a movement practice that is somehow, always moving us toward our fitness goals. When really, like, there are periods in our life where that just, fitness and movement just can't be a priority and just can't be something on our to-do list because we are struggling just to get through the day. And postpartum is one of those periods of time for sure, or it can be for a lot of us. And for some of us, that could be even years postpartum when we're going through a major shift in our, 2-year-old sleep routine, or, you're going through a major sickness where everybody in the house is kind of experiencing um, some form of sleep deprivation or having a hard time kind of getting through the day. Um, so, knowing your limits, knowing when you can start those new practices, when it makes sense, and what to do in those moments can be really important. And, finding support so that you can do that, it can be a way to help, that could be very helpful is finding support so that and when what is appropriate for you in that period of time. Okay, next, remembering, and probably one of the last things I'll talk about here, consistency is about the journey, not the end result. All right. And I think that can be easy to lose sight of. A lot of us, when we think about consistency and when we think about movement goals, we think about the end result, right? We are taught, most fitness programs are even sold to you and focused on a lot of times weight results, right? That's very much a number that you're trying to get to, uh, or, size results, pant sizes. Um, Rarely is it really focused on something a little more vague, like, or a little more nebulous, like how you're feeling in your body, or, whether or not you feel like you have a healthy relationship with your body by the end of it, right? Those are just not things that are taken into account for a lot of fitness programs. And for a lot of us, those are not things that we really have ever considered when thinking about a fitness routine for ourselves, right? When we start to think about fitness goals, we are thinking about those things like weight, or, maybe even like getting to an end result like a 5K or something like that. And while those things can be helpful sometimes those huge goals can feel extremely overwhelming, especially when those goals require planning, and they require more of that traditional consistency um, that you're able to find when you're not kind of in and out of the survival mode of caregiving and motherhood. So, what I like to suggest to my clients and those who are a part of my program are finding goals for for each day. I'm sorry. We have finding goals for each day of exercise. So, for each day that you're doing your movement. Can you get that ball for me? Can you go get that? I need a moment to take another breath. So, what I mean by finding goals each day is making your goals for your movement extremely small. So rather than thinking of a long-term goal of, this is where I want my weight to be by the end of 12 weeks or by the end of 6 months, instead, you're asking yourself, what is my goal for my movement today? What do I want to get out of movement today? And when your goals are that small and when your period of time is that small, especially when you're in a place where you're doing, 5 breaths or 2 breaths while you're giving the baby a bath, your goals are going to be very small and very attainable. So it's going to be, I want to take the biggest breath that I have all day, or I want to take that moment to, breathe into my back instead of holding my breath all day and feeling very tight. I want to feel looser in my back. Or I want to feel my feet on the ground, right? These very simple, very small goals that are extremely attainable and things that you know you can achieve with only a couple of breaths or with only one stretch, right? And so building a consistency habit around small, attainable goals will help you to keep going because you know that you're going to be able to attain those things every day, no matter what you're able to do. Okay. And what that's going to do is it's going to help you continue to create that habit, that healthy habit, and that healthy relationship with your body so that uh, you can maintain that act of doing that small piece of self care for yourself every day, even in the midst of survival mode. And then once you kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel and you've reached the end of a period of survival mode, you can build on it, right? And you always have that small attainable goal to come back to when you inevitably end up getting sick again, or, the whole house ends up getting sick again, or, you travel you travel and you come back home and nobody's sleeping in their bed anymore and they're all sleeping with you and you're not getting any sleep anymore. You always have this relationship with movement and this relationship with your body that allows for the inconsistency of your life instead of trying to expect these huge uh, these huge movement goals out of yourself when you know that in the future you're going to be faced with inconsistency in your life that's going to keep you from getting up early in the morning to work out, right? Or it's going to keep you from being able to work out after you get home from work because your partner's going to be out of town, or um, they're going to be sick and they're going to need you to take care of the kids as soon as you get home from work, right? And so you're not going to have time to go to the gym and work out. And so, then you will be able to come back to these small fitness goals, these small movement goals, and you have practiced being okay with them and you have practiced reminding yourself this still matters, this still helps, this is still moving me toward my goal of just seeing progress and building a healthy relationship with my body for the rest of my life, not just by the end of this Couch to 5K program, right? So we're thinking long term here. We're thinking of building healthy habits, building a healthy relationship with our body in the midst of, uh, caring for kiddos and caring for little beings that are very inconsistent in their needs and, create an environment for us that is extremely inconsistent. And what that can also do for us is create a space where we're not so frustrated all the time with ourselves and with them. And that can also create healthier relationships, um, which is key as we're moving through this very difficult time in our lives. And let me tell you, I by no means have this mastered. I think I have this understanding and I have very much created a deep seated self care habit for myself uh, around movement and breathing and finding movement that's right for me because I have been practicing this for years now. It has taken that long for me to get to a place where I'm able to find movement even in the midst of survival mode. And so knowing that that takes time and patience with yourself and your body is extremely important. So don't go comparing yourself to me or where I'm at, because we need to, I want you to understand that even though, I'm here to tell you and teach you these things, that I still struggle with it, for one. And two, I have gotten lots of mentorship, lots of help, lots of support in order to get to this place, including from mental health professionals, um, from other fitness professionals, from, programs and classes that I've taken. So this takes time. It takes time, it takes patience, and you're not alone in feeling frustrated with your fitness routine if you're feeling like you're inconsistent. Um, so please know that I am here to be a support system for you, to be a part of your support system. Um, be sure to reach out to me if you have any questions regarding this. And if you'd like to become a part of our community, know that you can. I have my Misfit Moms community where we talk about these topics regularly. We have our weekly get-togethers. We have weekly in-person workouts. We have weekly virtual workouts where we're able to come and talk about these things, because that is an important part of it too. Discussing with other caregivers, other women, other mothers about how we are navigating through this. Ultimately, always trying to remember that this is a lifelong journey. And the important thing here is building a relationship, a healthy relationship with our bodies and movement, so that we can find something sustainable that keeps us going for the rest of our lives, not just through the next 2 months, right? Okay, with that being said, I'm going to go try to be a little more consistent with my content creation, with my podcast building, even though, and I got to go find my toddler. I don't know. He just wandered off. So I'm going to go find him. I hope you have a great day. This went way longer than I thought, but I hope you found some good information and know that I am here to, for any questions that you have. But I'll see you next time. And remember that you are already strong, you're already beautiful, and you and your body deserve love. 100%, okay? No matter how consistent or inconsistent you feel, you are all of those things and you deserve those things. All right? See you next time.
Thanks for listening. Do me a favor and make sure to subscribe to my podcast so you know when the next one is ready. I'm not always consistent, so this is probably the best way to know. While you're at it, if you liked this episode, I would love it if you would rate and share with friends as well. I don't have many listeners yet, but I think these are important things for people to hear, and the best way for others to hear it is for you to pass it along. Also, be sure to look for me on Instagram at Reclaim Fitness LLC, and please check out my free Facebook group where you can get lots of content, workouts, and information on a more regular basis. Go to www.facebook.com/groups/postpartum move. That's postpartummove. The link for that is also in the show notes, so take a look. Thanks for joining.